Hello, my name is Cameron Ream, and I'm from Amazing Grace Christian Academy, and I will be performing for you today, "The Price of Greatness is Responsibility," given by Winston Churchill. This speech was delivered by Churchill at Harvard University in 1943, in a passionate call for brotherhood and unity between the British and American people. Here now today, I am once again in academic groves. Groves is, I believe, the right word. Where knowledge is garnered, where learning is stimulated, where virtues are inculcated, and thought encouraged. Here, in the broad United States, with the respectable ocean on either side, we can look out upon the world in all its wonder and in all its woe. But what is this I discern as I pass through your streets, as I look round this great company? I see uniforms on every side. I understand that nearly the whole energies of the university have been drawn into the preparation of American youth for the battlefield. For this purpose, all classes and courses have been transformed, and even the most sacred vacations have been swept away in a round-the-clock and almost round-the-year drive to make warriors and technicians for the fighting front. Twice in my lifetime, the long arm of destiny has reached across the oceans and involved the entire life and manhood of the United States in a deadly struggle. There was no use in saying, "We don't want it, we won't have it. Our forebears left Europe to avoid such quarrels. We have founded a new world which has no contact with the old." There was no use in that. The long arm reaches out remorselessly, and everyone's existence, environment, and outlook undergo a swift and irresistible change. What is the explanation, Mr. President, of these strange facts? And what are the deep laws to which they respond? I will offer you one explanation. There are others, but one will suffice. The price of greatness is responsibility. If the people of the United States had continued in a mediocre station, struggling in the wilderness, absorbed in their own affairs, and a factor of no consequence in the movement of the world, they might have remained forgotten and undisturbed beyond the protecting oceans. But one cannot rise to be in many ways the leading community of the civilized world without becoming involved in its problems, without being convulsed by its agonies and inspired by its causes. If this has been proved true in the past, as it has been, it will become indisputable in the future. The people of the United States cannot escape world responsibility. Although we live in a period so tumultuous that little can be predicted, we may be quite sure that this process will be intensified with every forward step the United States makes in wealth and in power. Not only are the responsibilities of this great republic growing, but the world over which they range is itself contracting in relation to our powers of locomotion at a positively alarming rate. We have learned to fly. What prodigious changes are involved in that new accomplishment? Man has parted company with his trusty friend the horse and has sailed into the azure with the eagles. The eagles being represented by the internal combustion engine. Where then are those broad oceans, those vast starry deserts? They are shrinking beneath our very eyes. Even elderly parliamentarians like myself are forced to acquire a high degree of mobility. But to the youth of America, as to the youth of all Britons, I say, you cannot stop. There can be no halting place at this point. We have now reached a stage in the journey where there can be no pause. We must go on. It must be world anarchy or world order. We do not war primarily with races as such. Tyranny is our foe. Whatever trappings or disguises it wears, whatever language it speaks, be it external or internal, we must be forever on our guard, ever mobilized, ever vigilant, ready to spring at its throat. In all this, we march together. Not only do we march and strive, shoulder to shoulder, at this moment under the fire of the enemy on the fields of war or in the air, but also in those realms of thought which are consecrated to the rights and the dignity of men. All these matters weigh with us now in spite of the war, which none can say has reached its climax, which is perhaps entering for us, British and Americans, upon its most severe and costly phase. But I'm here to tell you that, whatever form your system of world security may take, however the nations are grouped and ranged, whatever derogations are made from national sovereignty for the sake of the larger synthesis, nothing will work soundly or for long without the united effort of the British and American people. If we are together, nothing is impossible. If we are divided, all will fail. I therefore preach continually the doctrine of the fraternal association of our two peoples, not for any purpose of gaining invidious material advantages for either of them, not for territorial aggrandizement or for the vain pomp of earthly domination, but for the sake of service to mankind and for the honor that comes to those who faithfully serve great causes. Here let me say how proud we ought to be, young and old alike, to live in this tremendous, thrilling, formative epic of the human story. And how fortunate it was for the world that when these great trials came upon it, there was a generation that terror could not conquer and brutal violence could not enslave. Let all who are here remember, as the words of the hymn we have just sung suggest, let all who are here remember that we are on the stage of history, and that whatever our station may be, or whatever part we have to play, great or small, our conduct is liable to be scrutinized not only by history, but by our own descendants. Let us rise to the full level of our duty and of our opportunity, and let us thank God for the spiritual rewards he has granted to all forms of valiant and faithful service.